Hello, everyone. Welcome to the iPhoneography podcast. Hey, everyone. Greg McMillan here for the iPhoneography podcast, and I'm joined by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Dave Podner. Hello, David. How are you?
Not doing good. Greg, how you doing?
Not too bad. Pretty chilly up here in Canada, but it's almost November, so that's to be expected.
Mm,
But so tonight we are going to let you steal the show again because you finally got your iPhone 13 Pro Max.
hmm So let me tell a little delivery story first for the crowd here.
Okay.
So, just as a precaution, Ruth's delivery for her iPhone went swimmingly. UPS person came up to the door, knocked on the door since you have to sign for it. We went down there, signed for it, got the phone, no problem. Last Monday, a week ago, knock on the door. I'm on the phone. Ruth's on the phone. We're both working from home, but we're both on the phone. We couldn't get down there immediately. We couldn't run to the door. The dogs ran to the door. We couldn't. We get down there 15 seconds after the knock. All of a sudden, no UPS truck, but a little slip of paper on the door saying, "We tried. You weren't home. We'll try again tomorrow." The problem is the plan and the thing that Ruth had to do was go into work for the next 2 days. So it's like, well, we're not going to be home. So we'll try to go on the UPS website to redirect this maybe to an access point or somewhere else, or maybe push it off till Thursday. Try to go online, didn't work. Just could not get the website to work at all. So we're like, okay, well, it's getting late on Monday. We'll try again tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, they try delivery. No one's home. Tuesday night, finally get through. Okay, we're going to say, use the access point and I'll go to the UPS store and pick it up. And it said pending. I said, okay. I sent it Tuesday night around 8 p.m. I know it's a little late, but UPS is a large international company that I figure things would flow. So I check the website and it says, and it says, okay, out for delivery. And it says access point, UPS store, Freeport Road, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, good. It's going to go there. It still said requested, but it still said, access point. I get the little text message note saying, "We tried at your home again for the last time." I'm like, okay, what happened to the $6 I paid to have it moved to the access point? Why didn't that work? So I called UPS, talked to a very friendly person. They said, it is in there. It will. What I'll do is I'll contact our local people to have it switched over. And I did that around 1:00 or so. Got off at work, was to a point where on my way home where I could either go home or to the access point. It's not that bad out of the way for me. Called the local store and say, just wanted to see if it got redirected. It's showing, it's in there. I talked to a person. He said, well, it says here that it is being redirected here, but we didn't get it today. And I said, okay, when do you normally get your deliveries? Oh, around lunchtime, midday or something like that. So it's like, okay, Thursday. Good. So Thursday morning, it went to the access point finally. So yes, it's a minor inconvenience, but it's still a bit of a pain in the butt having to deal with that when, now should have I said to myself, oh, I may not be home. I'll have them send it to the access point. I could have picked it up Monday afternoon. No problem. But we were going to be home. We figured the UPS guy wasn't going to knock and basically run that quickly, especially since the first delivery went good. But it finally came. It just gave, but the other thing, and this is, again, minor detail, an inconvenience and annoyance. The weather, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, beautiful, clear skies at night. Absolutely gorgeous weather. Thursday, rain. Friday, rain. Saturday night, tornadoes.
Oh, really?
No, I'm sorry. Thursday was a tornado warning. Sorry. Yeah, actually, in the previous 70 years in Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh area, I should say, there was a total of 11 tornadoes from 1950 to 2020 in October. This October, there's been 10.
Holy.
Yeah. And there were 5 in the last week, which is just crazy. So, yeah. So it's also, it's like perfect weather to try stuff and then cloudy, miserable. But again, minor inconvenience, especially compared to like some of the damage I saw from even though they're low end tornadoes.
Yeah.
This area is not used to tornadoes, and buildings are not really built to withstand tornadoes. So
no, not like Oklahoma.
No, exactly. Yeah. We're not in the Great Plains where it's like, oh, it's a tornado warning. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's Tuesday, tornado warning.
Yep.
And they were low-ish, but still 90 to 100 miles an hour, and there were houses destroyed, unfortunately. And I luckily no loss of life, but still major issues for the people who were affected. And again, the fact that we're at home watching TV, and you get the warning on, and they're saying, go to your basement. This entire area has a tornado warning, not a watch, but a warning. They said, oh yeah, there's probably a tornado here, and it's moving that way. You're like, okay, that's not too far away from the house. So we're going to be downstairs just waiting to hear for the freight train.
Yeah.
Luckily, nothing around us, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to your delivery thing, because like the part where the UPS guy came to the door and left. Because with my iMac, when I was expecting it was supposed to be here on I guess it was supposed to be here on the Monday of the week that it was that was the delivery day. And then because it was a national holiday, it was delayed by one day. Okay, I expected that. And then it was supposed to be here by 7:00 on the Tuesday. And just about 2 minutes after 7, there was a knock on the door. I was in the back side of the house. And by the time I got to the front window just to see who it was a guy, a UPS guy, getting into a van and getting ready to drive off. So I ran out without even getting my shoes on. I ran outside and I started yelling. My neighbor across the street started yelling. The guy stopped, and he got out and he's, oh, are you Greg McMillan? Yeah. Oh, and I said, I've been waiting for that thing. And he got this great big box out of the front seat. Oh. So at least he didn't, excuse me, at least he didn't get away on me. But
true.
So let's go like we did with, when Ruth got her phone, first impressions, just right off the bat, first impressions.
Sure. And I might do a little show and tell. And for audio people, I will try to explain as much as possible. Now, this is actually, I got Ruth's phone. As I said, I just need to borrow your phone while you're doing your show. And she said, okay, yep. Take my phone. Okay. So this is Ruth's phone. This is her. She has the iPhone 13 non-Pro, the 6.1 inch, which is close to the size of my old 10. So this is the Max. So wow. Exactly. It's substantially larger than, it's kind of bright here, but you can kind of see the size there. Substantially larger. And I did get the Sierra Blue, which can be best described as it's almost a steel blue.
Yeah.
It's not a dark blue. It's not a dark blue.
No, they use special technology to make that blue as opposed to the other 3 colors that are available.
Right. And I would say it's almost a steel blue. It's a grayish blue. So if people are thinking about colors, it is a grayish blue. And the other thing that you notice, it is heavy.
Yep.
I mean, and I know it's heavy because A, it's big. B, because it's big, it's got a bigger battery, and that's heavy. And it's got the stainless steel bands on the outside versus the aluminum bands that Roost phone has. So it's got all this stuff adding. And of course, being bigger, you have the bigger screen that adds weight. So, it makes it, and that does matter in terms of photography, because if you're trying to take a photo with the regular camera, no problem at all for me. And I would say this, I have smallish hands. So that is something to keep in mind. Like, okay, this phone works good for me, Roost phone. So when I try to do the same thing with my phone, my hands are having a lot harder time getting around it. And if you want to make sure you're steady, like for a night shot, and you're trying to do a handheld, this is a lot harder to keep steady because of the size of the heft than Roost phone. Yeah. So if you're trying to do night shots, at least for me, now, again, your mileage may vary. I had my couple times I tried initial handheld night shots, her phone came out better. Now, with the wide camera, they're pretty, I mean, one's 1.5, 1.6. Other than that, they're basically the same camera. Just the fact that I was able to hold hers a little bit, more still. And mine was just a little bit jiggly because of the weight and the size was an issue.
Yeah, I remember you sending those pictures, and I actually got it wrong, I think, because when I said, when I tried to guess which one was which, the one that had the little bit of movement, I thought was Ruth's phone.
Yeah.
And now I know why.
Yeah.
Is because the whole issue with, trying to hold it still. And, and like you say, mileage is going to vary. It's going to be different for everybody.
Right.
For me personally, I got, fairly long fingers, piano players in the family, not me, but there are some, and I have no problem holding a maximum phone like this, but so I don't know, you might get used to it as time goes.
No, and definitely it is nice having the screen size for editing photos. But
yeah, for sure.
I will say this also with, let's say if you take a photo on your phone and you're like, oh, even on the 6.1, which is not a small screen. Now it's a small screen, but let's keep in mind the original 4.3 inch.
Oh, yeah.
6.1 is not a small screen. But then you look on it on a 21 or 24 inch monitor and you blow it up that much, you notice details. You say, I thought it was sharper. Well, because you blew it up to a much. This screen, when you blow stuff up, you tend to start noticing little details, artifacts that you maybe don't notice on the smaller screen. Something else to keep in mind too. But no, when I actually retook some photos and I, put it down on a table or use a support to keep it steady, you don't notice much of a difference. In fact, we're going to show photos, which I think everyone's waiting on, and we're not holding off for any nefarious reason like some YouTube people do. But we have a good amount of photos. Hopefully, this isn't like, then this is me in front of the St. Louis Arch. But there's one photo where I took it back to back, Ruth's phone, my phone, both wide. And for these photos, I will say, this is off of memory, where I edited and didn't edit. So some of these photos, especially the comparison of the zoom, they are completely unedited. I took the photo. I have done nothing with them. All the nighttime shots are heavily edited, I will say.
Let's bring them up.
But you have to. Here we go. Okay, so the first couple shots here are the macro shots. And this is unedited. This is actually a drop of water on my car. So this is an indoor shot. Mm-hmm. Because when you get macro, you got to watch out for the light that you're not blocking the light with your body or the camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this was in my garage after it was raining. And the amazing thing, you can see the outline of the raindrop or of the water, I would say, on the car, very clear. You can see how it acts as a magnifying for the not the clear coat, but for the sparkly part of the paint of the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the metal flake.
The metal flake. And I would say my car is silver. So this is not a black and white shot, even though it kind of looks like a black and white shot because obviously no color. But the fact that I would say this, you can notice when you zoom in, you do notice when it's going from regular to macro.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you're taking the picture, as you're getting closer, you'll see it kind of phase a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Which can be a little disconcerting, but it's also good to know when you're on macro and when you're just taking a regular photo.
And there's now a new toggle to toggle that capability off.
I haven't updated. Yeah, that came out with the 0.1 release today. I haven't updated yet, but I will eventually. But now I'll say this: sometimes you're kind of. I was kind of shocked by how far away you can be, and it'll go into macro. Because I'm used to, I have to be within, 2-3 inches for macro to start kicking in. No, right. If you're within 7, 8, one time I swear it was like 10 inches away, 25 centimeters for our friends, for friends who are used to
for everybody else in the world.
For everyone else in the world, yeah. Or as Scott Johnson on Morning Stream called it, the space measurements. Yeah. But I was good, 10 inches away, and I noticed it went into macro. And it still kept the focus as I got closer and closer and closer. So it wasn't like, because if you use macro on like Camera Plus 2 or other things, the minute you hit macro, if you get too far away, it gets blurry. It's like using a magnifying glass. Here, you could tell it phased in the macro, but it didn't get blurry. So it again, it's the computational. It's what Apple does very well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize you could be that far away and still do it.
Yeah. The next shot is actually a knife. And the neat thing is you can do macro mode in RAW. So this is a RAW photo. I took another one that was not RAW. This one, the RAW was just so much clearer. And
is that Pro RAW, Dave?
Yeah. Well, I would say it's the built-in RAW for the Photos app.
Okay.
So I would say yes, Pro RAW. When I mention RAW, it's RAW taken through the built-in app.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and generally I would say all the photos are taken with the built-in app. Okay. Some are edited with the built-in app. Some are edited in either Polar or Lightroom Mobile, but they're all taken with the built-in app.
Yeah.
So the fact that, you can see the water on this, you can obviously clearly read, but you can see the actual, the metal striations, metal bending there.
From when it was, ground or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That just looked out real good. And this is one that actually I posted this and just said to everyone, so is this dinner or is this a trail hike? As I happened to look at it, and it was like, it almost looks like some boulders here with different plants growing over it.
or snakes.
Exactly.
So what it is, it's bean sprouts for those who are listening.
Right.
So what are the quote unquote boulders? Is that like sesame chicken or something? Or?
Tofu.
Oh, tofu. Okay.
That's tofu. Yeah. Yeah. This is leftovers we made. So, So this is tofu. We bread it and fried and served over mung beans with a couple peanuts in there, and just able to get super close. And it has a nice feel of, because you notice if you look in the distance, it's out of focus.
Yeah.
But the up close is, again, we're not talking high end. I understand. But for the fact of this is literally me eating leftovers at my desk for lunch
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
just happened to pick up my phone and, oh, that looks kind of neat, and put my phone down, take a photo there with,
Yeah.
And I did do some editing in Polar for sharpening here. So I added a little bit of sharpening because if you look to the right, around halfway down to the right, you can see a lot more detail on the breading there.
Yeah. And there's even looks like a sesame seed right there too.
Mm-hmm. It's here.
Yeah.
I want to say yes. Yeah. Ruth did the breading, so I'm not sure what she put in it per se.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I love about macro is you can get so close to stuff like this,
Mhm.
and it just opens up a whole new world of stuff to look at. So
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty
also
cool.
because you don't have to get right on it and just get close, this would be good for product shots too.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
If
sure.
you're someone like for rings or for smaller things, this would be great.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
would be
Ruth
great.
must be having a heyday with her stuff, her jewelry and stuff that she sells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's now. This is one that I posted and said, this is where the 3x zoom kind of helps to sneak up. Because now I know like Mark Sadowski's dog is scared of camera for whatever reason.
Yeah.
These guys are not scared of cameras, but when they see me with a camera, they come right towards me.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what do you have there? Let me go up and let me put my nose right. So this is using the 3x zoom in night.
And tell
mode.
people what it is in case they're not watching.
It is a cat in a cat bed. So I put the cat bed on the couch and she just curls up in it and she fills up the entire cat bed, a little chunk herself. And we do have heat on in the house, even though she looks like she's putting her paw in front of her nose.
Yeah.
To kind of keep herself warm. But this was from across the room. So this is using the 3x night mode. And there's no light on in this room.
You're kidding.
No, there's no light on. No, because that room
looks like it looks like it's lit by window light in the middle of the day.
And the only window light is the street light from outside.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So that's actually, you know what? I may be incorrect. No, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. This one was midday. You are correct. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No, this was wrong. This is just midday zoom. I know I took a couple of her like that in night mode. And I think there's another one here, which is night, which is similar. But no, this is just a normal 3x. And I do apologize for that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My mistake. But yes, but still, it's a nice 3x. And, honestly, I didn't think the 2 versus 3 would make that much of a difference. But
it's crazy how it does, though, eh?
It does. It does. And I had to think about it. You're actually increasing the zoom by 50%.
Yeah.
If you think about, because you're going from 2 to 3, and I know focal length and blah, blah, other things where it's a lot more technical, but basically you're getting a lot closer. And it's, it can really help frame a situation. The only problem is the telephoto, of course, is a slower lens, a significantly slower lens.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that cheeses me off is that they slowed it down even more for the 13 Pro,
which I think is partially just physics, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because the extra super duper lenses that professionals use.
That's right.
They're really slow lenses because they're so large.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a test of the portrait mode. Now, you notice a lot of these are just me trying to take pictures around the house because, unfortunately, because of the weather and everything else, I wasn't able to get out. But I figure for a lot of people, they're not going to go to this wonderful, mystical, out in the middle of nowhere place, but they'll be taking photos around their house probably more than anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So this is our cat Leo. And this is portrait.
Oh,
mode.
this is the star of Tiny Shutter episode 247.
Yes, that is the famous Leo. And it doesn't
look worse for wear.
No. And the fact it was 4 years ago that happened, I want to say.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, look up Tiny Shutter, go to tinyshutter.com, look at the past episodes and look for episode 247 and be prepared to laugh because it was a lot of fun. And it had a lot to do with this cat.
Mm-hmm. But I'll say this. There's a little bit of softness around his edge. And it did not pick up. I don't know if you probably couldn't see his whiskers, but his eyebrow whiskers, for lack of a better term, you can see it just picks them up a little bit, but not terrible, not great. Mm-hmm. But it still does a pretty decent job with the blur and making it look pretty good.
Did you try changing the
I did. I actually made
f-stop.
Yeah, I made it a little bit stronger here than what it was built in. Did you get the striation? Did not really show as much of the floor behind him.
Oh yeah.
So let's go on the next one here.
Cool.
Okay, and this is just a live photo. This is another one, like another use of the thing. This is Belle, and she was just hanging out, looking at things. The one nice thing is, again, you notice it's pretty bright on the outside, and she is a white dog, and it does a pretty good job handling that. That's always an issue if you have pets with white spots in them and it's light, they will get blown out so easily. And it did a pretty good job on that.
Something I'm noticing is that outside the door, you can see a leaf on the ground out there. Mm-hmm. You can see the grass and the detail in it. Yeah. And that's outside where it would probably normally be blown out. Right. But yet you still have that detail out there. And then you still have the detail in here, even her back foot down here where it's kind of really shaded. You can still see her toes, her individual toes. So that's pretty impressive there.
Yeah. Okay, and this is a video in slow motion now. Belle's at the top of the steps and Charlie's at the bottom. And they just got haircuts. They were looking kind of shaggy before, so they both got haircuts. And Greg, if you could, there we go. And as he's coming up the steps, you can see his ears flopping and almost like he's getting ready to take off.
Yeah. I chuckle every time I see this.
Now, of course, slow motion, it did pick up the fact that we have compact fluorescence. Or LEDs. I'm sorry, LEDs. Those are LEDs. Yeah. You can see the flicker, unfortunately. And of course, for slow motion, even with the newer phones, it has to be well lit. Because if it's not well lit, it really, you need well lit. If it's not so well lit, it will make it really dark, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I like the fact you can see him, how his legs go up and down. And
you can't tell by looking at this, but with the 12 Pro Max, like the 12 Pros or maybe even the 12 and the 13s now, you can film in HDR. Can you do that with slow motion in the 13? Because you can't do it with the 12 Pro in 13. It won't do it in HDR in slow motion.
I didn't try. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay. All right.
I don't even know if you could manually override that or not, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. And this is just a photo of Charlie just down the couch. And unfortunately, he picked up one of my running hats. So he was just holding it for...
Keeping it safe for you.
Exactly. And this is, again, just him in terms of, you can see the curve. Now, you can see a little bit of his poof on top is a little blurry compared to the rest of his fur. So a bit of an issue there. But, okay, you want to move on next one? Okay. This is the night one I was talking about. This is what got me confused. So this is Leo on top of the couch at night. And this was, again, across the room. night mode, and you can see it picks up a lot of his detail. And you can the walls our walls are kind of off white in that room, but you notice that you can tell the difference between him and the walls pretty easily. And he's just kind of curled up away from us. So you can't see his face. All you see is this kind of round, brown and white colored ball on the couch. Yeah. But again, I saw him. I was coming up the steps across the room, zoomed in, and you can see that, especially from the shadows on the wall, the only light there is from the kitchen, which is from the left. So there's no light here. And this is just me trying to keep it as still as possible with handheld and be able to get a picture. Yeah, that's at 3 times.
Yeah.
So again, I know the 3 times isn't as good at night, but the night mode definitely helps with that.
Yeah.
Definitely helps with that. Yeah. This is actually a picture I took inside of a Walmart. I just love and I want to say, again, this is one of those things, you take enough photos, you sometimes forget all the little settings. I think this was the ultra wide.
Yeah.
And I just love the symmetry and how it just comes together to a point where the shelves on either side with books, and you have the fluorescent lights overhead, and one fluorescent light overhead reflects on the floor below, the concrete floor.
Yeah.
And just the way it you have that tunnel look to it. And it just, I just really like the overall feel for how that turned out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the color's good too.
Yeah. Yeah. You can actually read some of the book.
For being in fluorescent lighting.
It doesn't
the color looks like
weird.
It's fairly accurate. Yeah.
Okay. And this is one of the night shots I took. The way I did this was went out because I don't necessarily, the tripod I have, I don't 100%, it's a little old, so it can get a little wobbly now and then. So I just took a chair, put the phone on the chair. I do have a case on it, but I put the phone on the chair, pointed up, use the Apple Watch as a camera release, set it for max. And of course, since it's stable, it does it for 30 seconds and just took the shot. And then when this one was edited in Snapseed, where if you look up, the sky was grayish. In the suburbs, there's light pollution. But there was enough light around where the trees were also lit. And you get a little halo around the tree. Because also the neighbors on that side, they're outside. My outside lights I turned off. Their outside lights were on. That's where a little bit of light pollution is coming from. Mm-hmm, but it's still, I like the way the trees looked with the, just having a night shot, a sky night shot without any other reference can be kind of, it still can be amazing, but it can be a little blah. So having the tree there, I think helps out a lot. Yeah.
And what I was saying to you earlier is I can't get over how it picks up so many stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And honestly, the first time I did it with Ruth's phone, the first thing I thought of is hopefully those are stars and those are not things I'm throwing in, artifacts I'm adding in by my adjustment. So, but the more I take them and more do them and different editing, I'm not seeing that come on. So this one's a different direction, same technique, putting it on the chair. And then, and I put the 3-second timer on. So I put it there and I make sure I'm walking away and, the only vibration is whatever comes up through the chair, through the ground. So, we're not that close to a major road where there's vibration from trucks or anything. Again, neighbors' houses in the background causing some of the backlighting for the tree there, but it just turns out so good here. And it just looks so nice. Now, I'm not able to get all the light pollution away. You can tell, especially near the tree, there's some white splotchiness, which unfortunately is light pollution that I can't just completely wipe away. And these were JPEG; these were not ProRAW. So, but it adds a nice little touch to it, even though 100% high end camera wouldn't pick that up, obviously, or you'd be able to make certain adjustments. But again, I just really like the fact that I can go in the backyard and just snap these photos.
Yeah.
And the editing's not overly hard. The editing's, like I said, these were in Polar. It was not overly hard to get. And especially when you play with it a couple times, you get a feeling for, okay, in the future, I know what I need to do to get the stars to pop and have the foreground the way I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, again, just kind of similar here. Not much of a change, just a different angle. And this one I took, it was a little cloudy that night. And when you get a 30-second exposure, you don't realize these were not fast moving clouds. They some clouds you look up in the sky and you can see them moving very quickly. They weren't that quick, but because of the 30-second exposure, they streaked out. It almost looks like a sheet over the sky, but you can still see the sky through it.
Yeah, it almost looks like the Northern Lights without any color.
Right. So again, it just turns out you can get some really nice looking photos. And I know that if you're a pixel peeper, you're used to doing astrophotography with higher, fine. I know it's not perfect, but it's still something really nice to look at.
Mm-hmm. And it's just so cool to be able to do that,
Yeah.
Before the iPhone 12, like even the 11 can't do something like this. It wasn't until the 12s came out that you can actually, well, no, I shouldn't say that. The 11s and, basically any phone can do it with other apps. But I mean, with the built-in camera.
With the built-in, yeah.
Yeah, there's been no chance of doing this until last year.
No. This is actually kind of inside of a local restaurant. This is just their entranceway, and this is unlit. So I just took the photo, and it's actually pretty by your naked eye. It'd be really hard to see this because the only light is from the left, which is just the outdoor light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's just kind of sneak in. So the fact I was just able to raise it, do the shot, and get some nice colors. It's not grainy, it's not kind of washed out. Those are really accurate colors for how dark it is in there. And just really nice. So I can see where a lot of people, this would be really useful for, let's say if you're comfortable enough to go out to restaurants or go out to places. This is, this was not night mode. This was just a normal photo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see it says live on the upper left there. So yeah, this is just a straight live photo. This isn't night mode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in the fact,
I
like
thought
I said,
for sure this was a night mode shot.
No, I mean, like I said, you can see where, like I said, the colors are bright, but they're not overly bright. They're really realistic, bold colors with this photo. And it's hard to describe the photo, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the entranceway to a restaurant, and it's a mural on the wall, on the two walls, and even the ceiling has like basically a mural painted on it, and the carpet, for lack of a better word, on the floor is black. So I mean, it's not going to reflect any light from outside either.
Right.
But I mean, and the colors of the mural are really nice and brilliant and bright. And I can imagine in the daytime that must really be bright.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it just picks it up real good.
Okay.
Huh, wow.
Let's see. Okay, now this was a test that I wanted to do. The restaurant is called Mad Mex. So it's it's a not a straightforward Mexican restaurant, because what we got there to eat was actually fried tofu.
Oh yeah,
which is not what you think of Mexican, but they had little chili pepper lights like Christmas lights from the ceiling. And the shot, I tried two different ways to get the shot. One was with the wide angle, and that's the shot that's on the thing now. And then I tried the regular wide, but with the 16:9. And because the regular wide is better with the low light, that one turned out better than the ultra wide. At least I think it does.
In the ultra wide, there's this wooden ceiling on the back wall, and you can see some of the detail. But when you get to the one with the wide, you can see a lot more detail in the wood. The different colors and all that stuff, and it just it's obviously going to be the better lens because it has a better aperture. But
right.
And proof's in the pudding for sure.
Oh yeah. And now this is something, and I'm agreeing with you about one thing. It's a portrait mode shot of me that Ruth took. It does a good job, even with my, forehead and the light without bringing up too much shininess up there. And it does a pretty good job with my hair as it's, kind of thin and wispy up there. But one thing it does not do is my glasses. Because the one part of my glass, which is by the angle kind of by itself, not with my face in front of it, even though I do have frame all the way around, it's kind of a thinner frame. And it just doesn't pick up that part of it in terms of being in a foreground versus background for the blur. But everything else, it does again, this is just lighting with the restaurant lighting. So obviously not overly bright, because restaurants, of course, never, sit down restaurants that seem like never give you overly bright lighting, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and now to the note about the glasses, Apple's got to pick up their game on that, because I just watched a video today comparing the iPhone 13 Pro and the new Google Pixel 6 Pro, and the portrait mode in the Google phone was able to pick up a shot very similar to this with the glasses like that, and it was able to keep the glasses in the shot where they belonged. Like, it didn't blur them out like the iPhone's doing here. So
Google still is better with the computational. Apple's gotten better. Yeah. But Google still is better at computational, and that's what one of the, they can actually say that's a. There we go. Giving Ruth back her phone. But you can say those are glasses. This is the glass, and they can use their entire and their Pixel 6 is the way they're doing it with their own semi-customized chip and everything else. Right now, I think we're, people say, oh, I wish I had more options than, Apple versus Android. Right now, in my mind, there's three options. There's Apple, there's the majority of Android, and then there's Pixel. Because they're using customized, just like Apple says, hey, we're going to make a chip that has something hardwired in for machine learning. We're going to have something hardwired in for photo processing. Google's doing that now with their chip. No one else is, just those two. And that is a major advantage that Google will have. And that's why the reviews I'm seeing are saying basically the Pixel 6, iPhone 13 Pro, they're really similar for photos. Some a little stronger than other, but it's basically a tie, which is a good thing, because that'll push both companies. Because right now, outside the Pixel, well, I know stellar photography is better with some Samsung, I think, when I hear some people talk about it. But for overall, if you're looking at the overall, the iPhone 13 Pro up until the Pixel was like up here and everything else was right beneath it. These two are, for photography, are really close. So that'll push more for upcoming years and make sure they both get better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I was going to guess at these next two to see,
Right.
because they're basically okay. What we're looking at is out your backyard,
Right.
night
At
mode,
night mode.
and
Back porch light was on. So that's the heavy
yeah,
shadow you see.
and one is your phone and one is Ruth's phone.
Right. Both with the wide lens, both held, put on the table, and all I did was keep it vertical
Yeah,
and with the long exposure possible.
right. So wow, this one's much more saturated looking.
Yeah. And I'll say no editing on my part.
Right. So I don't know, I'm gonna say the second one with the more saturated color is yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
Other than
honestly,
that, there's really not a lot of difference.
right. And honestly, in my mind, there really shouldn't be. Because the wide lenses are very similar. The processing, I think, if you look at the shed or neighbor shed in the background, my photo's a little clearer up there because you can see the slats on the siding on my photo a little bit clearer than Ruth's. Why is mine bright green and hers is kind of I don't know. That I'm not sure, unless it is that much of a difference with the light processing, because I did not set up any photographic styles, which I know you can do. You can set it up. Well, with the 13s, they have the ability to put your photographic styles where you can say, styles, I want this, cooler or warmer. I looked at it briefly. I'm like, I rather deal with the post after the fact, or after I use this for long enough, I can say, hey, I noticing that I'm always making the photos warmer, or I'm always making them cooler, or I'm always making them punchier. I'll put that in the photographic style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I mean, if you look down, if you look down below on the bottom with the closer blades of grass, they both put out. Now, once you get up the hill, they get blurry. But both of them are doing a pretty good job with those blades of grass down below.
Yeah.
And the fencing. Right. And the fencing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, why is it? I don't know. And these were a couple I took a little earlier today. The clouds are just starting to break. Now, these are all unedited. These outdoor shots in the river are all unedited. So I plan on editing them, maybe boosting up the color a little bit, because if you notice in the far away in the middle, there's a little bit of blue sky, but it's kind of hard to see the blue sky there.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
because it's kind of gray overall. This is just a cropping out the bottom of this, pretty much the same photo. So if you go to the next one, okay, now this is a test I did of comparing the 0.5, 1x, 3x, and then the digital zoom 15x. So this is the ultra wide lens, 4x3.
Yeah. And so what we're looking at is a river, river, and across the river you can see, some homes and buildings and stuff. A hill in the background covered with trees, and then you, excuse me, then you see the sky. In the foreground, right below on this side of the river, just some growth, shrubs and stuff like that. Excuse me.
Now, unfortunately, 3 days from now, this may be a completely different scene as the colors change. The colors are just starting to change here. You can notice a couple trees where they're changing, but not a lot yet.
Yeah.
So we're hoping this week will be nice and colorful. But just to compare it now, this is the 1X. So very similar scene, except that a lot of the growth's
0.5 to 1. Yeah.
A lot of the growth's gone. You can see the boat's a little clearer across the way. Again, it's more, the crop's a little different. The 3X, which is doing a pretty good job with picking up. And I think maybe if you go back to the 1X and the 3X, the 1X seems a little dark. And I'm thinking because of the amount of sky and water.
Yeah, because it's trying to balance everything out.
Exactly. Where when you zoom in, there's a lot more trees. So you can see a lot of details here, especially, it's still, this was 420. So it was still pretty light in the day. You can see some blue sky a little bit above the trees. And it's picking up a good amount of details on the trees. You can see a couple different colors, and you can see the one boat launch ramp. And then I went with the digital zoom, which, yes, you can tell it's digital zoom. But
yeah, I mean, it looks like an oil painting, you know, for lack of better words. But boy, oh boy, it gets awful close.
It does. And it gets to the point where you can actually see the steps in the individual rise and run on the steps coming down to the boat launch.
Mm-hmm.
It's an oil painting, but it's not so blotchy. It's hard to see what you're looking at.
Right. Yeah.
And
it was done with a fine brush.
Exactly. And it still does a pretty good job with picking up the colors too for a zoomed in viewer.
Yeah. Because when you look at the 3 times image, I mean, the star of that image is the trees, with the detail in the trees, because you still don't see a lot of detail in the boats, and you can't really make out the stairs going down to it. But when you go to that 15 times digital zoom, that's where you get to see everything that's in the image, more so than what you could see without zooming in. So
you can actually see one of the plastic white chairs they use near the dock. Yeah. So again, I know it's now best case scenario, of course, don't use digital zoom, walk, get closer somehow.
Yeah, in this case, zoom with your feet.
Right. But in this case, I'm across the river.
Yeah, so that's right.
I really can't get over there.
Yeah.
So, if you just wanted to say, hey, look at what I see here, and you need to zoom in. And honestly, this would be a kind of an interesting, because it has that, like you said, it has that, painting feel to it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And again, this helps you. Anything, the technology helps us get the photos we want, but sometimes you can try to stretch it and you get something that looks interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is another example. This is me looking the other way upriver. Again, with the ultra wide, you can actually see the bench on one side, the fencing that I'm kind of leaning over, and the river going up there, and some of the boats docked out on this side of the river this time. And then going to the 1X, you can see a lot of more of the boats. Again, same thing with the 1X. There's so much sky and water.
Yeah.
The trees and the hills are kind of darker. Now, like I said, in editing, I would go in there. You can edit it, make it a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Where, even the 1X, there's still a lot of other ways. But, even with the 3X, it still turns out pretty good. You can see kind of the boats in the foreground there. And then just because I noticed it's like, I can see one of the houses that are on top of the hill across the way. So then I went digital zoom. And again, you get the painting feel here.
Yeah.
But you can still see a little bit of detail. Now, again, it'd be great if Apple would have put a periscope zoom in like Samsung does, and we could get a true 10x optical zoom. May happen next year or year after. It depends on, again, physics, how much room's in the phone, what you can squeeze in there, and everything else that goes on. But again, it's a nice feel, and you can actually see the house, which is pretty far away.
Oh yeah, yeah. It looks like it's probably a good half a mile away or so.
It's a couple miles away, actually.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because the two boroughs, which are next, they're known as the twin boroughs of Verona and Oakmont, which are on this side of the river. Because I do run it. Well, now my ankle's healing. I'll be running it again soon. If you go from I'm at one end, and if that those things are across the river on the other end. So just to get
Yeah.
from my side of the river down across river from them, I want to say is 2 miles, maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles, and then you got to cross the river and up the hill. So it's
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's maybe a good 2 miles away.
Yeah.
So, again, it helps using technology you have, and you can get a pre. Now, if you really want to make it look splotchy, can you do a zoom in on the photo there? Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Now, again, yes, splotchy, but if you're trying to point something out to someone or get, it's like, hey, I saw this over there, you can actually see the kind of the separation with the houses there. Again, would I suggest doing this and putting this on the wall zoomed out? Like, no, but
No.
it still gives
But
you
I mean,
a feel for what's there.
yeah, and you got to go back there in a couple of weeks when all the colors are changing on the trees, because that looks like it'd be a really nice spot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now this is a same location. It's a little park, and this is the playground that's there, and this is with the ultra wide looking through chain link fence. So you can see how elongated the green slide coming towards us looks. But unfortunately, with the ultra wide, you can also see the sky is kind of blown out here compared to everything else. It's a little splotchy. The clouds aren't as crisp. It's a little blown out. Now, if I did the exact same shot with the wide and reconfigured, you can see a lot more detail in the slide itself, and it doesn't look as long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the ultra wide definitely stretches it out.
Exactly. And yeah. And you can see with the regular wide, you can actually see the leftover raindrops on the slide itself.
Yeah.
And the sky is not it's still not great, but it's not as blown out here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least you were able to get out and test it out a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're going to have a lot more opportunities before the snow flies for sure. And
I certainly hope so. Don't make it come closer.
Excuse me. So you tried the cinematic video with Ruth's phone. Did you try it with yours yet?
I did try it, and really not much difference.
Not much difference.
Difference. No. I will say this, that I did do, and I did post this to Instagram. Now this was a non-cinematic. This is just a regular video I posted of the local Walmart's Christmas tree layout, because they have all their trees available you can purchase already in October.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I just did a quick, it 1 minute. I did a walk around on the outside of the display and the inside to show all the trees. And Bruce said, "Oh, this is cinematic." I said, "No, this isn't cinematic mode. This is just 4K 60 frames per second." But because of the image stabilization and how smooth it looked like almost cinematic mode.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out, it honestly, which is something I shot to say, hey, Halloween's next week. Why do we have Christmas stuff out already?
It's crazy. It's so commercialized. It's unreal. But so let's we'll cap it off now and just give us your final thoughts on what you're most excited about going forward with this new phone. I've never known you to be too much of a video guy, but with the cinematic video or with the capabilities of the cameras, are you looking forward to doing more video?
I am. I'm also looking forward to, and this is true with Ruth's phone, but better low light. And let's say we go somewhere that something's happening on a stage somewhere, or if I want to do I'll say this: the video low light still isn't. It doesn't match the photo low light. Obviously, there's no night mode for video because there's not really, I don't think, a way to stack. Well, I'll put it this way: I don't think there's a way for right now the iPhone to stack video the way it stacks photos. So when I tried to do video in the dark, it's still really dark, but but all you need is a little bit of light and it picks it up. So, a couple like the shows I go to, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the 3X and not having to use a digital so much, where I did when with the old iPhone 10 with the 10 with just the 2X zoom. More photos and just amazing how crisp it is, and the fact that it doesn't have to go to night mode as quickly as you think it does. Like you said, the entranceway shot there, that's just a regular photo. That isn't, so it was able to pick up and get enough light in without having to switch over. So just having that flexibility, having the bigger screen, having the quicker processor for editing photos, and also for editing videos, because I did do one video, and not just a slow motion, but one where I kind of edited it down, chopped it down. And on my 10, it would be, okay, move this here, do this here, hit save, and it would take 2-3 seconds to save, which again, not a long time, but you're waiting. This, you do boom, boom, save, it saves. There's no waiting. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's really crazy. Quick. I've only, like I said, I've only done a couple in RAW. First of all, I don't want to say I only have the 256, but I only have the 256. I don't want to shoot everything in RAW and then deal with, I'm out of space and I have to delete photos. So only where I think it's going to make a huge difference. And even, like I said, those night shots were not RAW. I did try a couple in RAW, but those night shots were just a normal JPEG that I edited. So, because I know, unfortunately, Polar does not do RAW processing. And I think the app I have is either the built-in app or Snapseed, or the two I do. So, and generally, if I post to either, let's say Twitter or Instagram, I'll say I generally put what I edited in. Mainly because if people see a photo, I like people to know what I used in case they're interested in saying, oh, that's a great shot. Oh, he used Polar, or oh, he used Snapseed, or he used the built-in. That helps me if I want to do something similar. Yeah.
I find that for like Astro work and that for the editing, I'm finding Lightroom Mobile to be a little better than just about anything else, because it has dehaze and clarity, I think, and different tools like that. You'll learn it from this guy right here, right? Shane Moston, the bloody legend himself. He'll go to his YouTube channel, and I would suggest doing that, Dave. Revisit his channel if you've been there before. Go back to it, and there's ones that he's done specifically with the 13 Pro, Pro Max, I think, and kind of follow his editing technique. I've done it. I've gone in and opened up Lightroom Mobile, and I've paused the video, and I've done the sliders the same way he does, and maybe readjust them a little bit just to suit the image a little better. But I would recommend giving it a shot. Now I know your worst nightmare right now for Astro work is the light pollution. Maybe come the warmer weather, you'll be able to get out and right now you go way out of town, you probably freeze yourself to death trying to get a good night shot. But I know I would do that here, but when the weather's a little warmer, it's nice to get out, as far out of town as you can, and take a tripod or
Mm-hmm.
something to hold the phone still. And I mean, I used a picnic table the first time I ever tried it, and I got a nice Milky Way shot.
Mm.
And the only thing with that one was there's nothing in it for reference, like trees, like you have there. But
Yeah.
um, but I would be really interested to see what you can come up with.
Yeah. That's
Trying
that's the
that.
one
And
thing I want to try. I want to try, and it's harder for me because I live near a city
mhm.
to get, you know, the Milky Way.
Yeah, yeah, it will
Especially
be difficult.
especially in the winter where it tends to not be as, and this is something I'm reading up on, it tends not to be as visible, the Milky Way core in the winter
Yeah.
as it is in the summer for the northern hemisphere.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I haven't really looked into that too
Yeah.
much, but the last time I was out and I shot it, I got basically the tip of the core. The rest was
Mm-hmm.
below the horizon. But
And as the northern hemisphere goes in the winter, which would be the better shooting period because it's drier air and the atmosphere is calmer, it stays exceptionally low in the horizon. Where in the summer,
yeah,
where it's nice and high in the horizon, you have a light until 8, 9 o'clock, depending on where you're at. So you have to wait
yeah,
longer and longer. And because it's warmer, more instability in the atmosphere, which causes issues that way.
yeah, for sure. Well, so I think that wraps it up
Mm-hmm.
for the new 13 Pro Max. I'm very happy to hear that you got it finally. And uh, a little envious, maybe a little envious, but I will make do with the 12 Pro
Mm-hmm.
Max. Just not an upgrade year for me. I didn't win the
Yeah.
lottery, so. But I mean, you've been waiting a long time, man. You've been on the
Yeah.
the 10 for what, 3 years now, 4 years?
Three plus, three plus,
Yeah.
maybe three and
So
a half. And Ruth was on that 7+ for 4+ years now.
yeah,
So
yeah. So you guys deserve
yeah.
to get a new one and get to play around with them. So I'll be probably bugging you to try this and that and everything. But you
Oh
got the
yeah.
macro now. You got a lot better
Mm-hmm.
macro. Um, uh, Probably one of the best, well, the best camera that's ever been on an iPhone with the
Oh yeah.
wide. The ultra wide's very much improved
Mm-hmm.
from the 12, and the telephoto with the reach is good, though the aperture is not the best. I mean, they've like you said earlier, physics I think is
Yeah.
probably the cause of that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know. Glad to see that you're happy with it
Oh
so
yeah.
far, and I mean you'll get used to the size too. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well, that is one thing I notice is that, and this is a special thing if you happen to be, oh, I don't know, a runner like myself. Um, the armband I've used for my 10, my phone, the Max will fit widthwise, so I
Mm.
can get it in there. It sticks up the top though, so it's actually
Oh,
too
it,
tall, just a little
but
bit.
it's snug enough that it's not going to fall out.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
The
well that's
only
all right
problem
then.
without the top being protected, um, if there's semi-inclement weather, sometimes the top, having it completely enclosed in the armband can protect it from, not obviously
Yeah,
a downpour, but snow or a light drizzle. It'll help protect from it. Versus now, it's
yeah,
like completely out in the open. So, and also I happen, because of my ankle healing still, I'm still 3 weeks away from running. I don't know what this is going to feel like, literally strapped on my arm, running
you'll
an
have one arm
hour.
like this and the other
Well,
arm
exactly.
normal.
Yeah, basically. Well, I mean, you figure that when I run 10Ks, it takes me an hour ish.
Hmm.
10 milers, if I can get myself down, it'd be nice if I can get myself back down to an hour and a half. More than likely, it's closer to 2 hours, maybe an hour and 40 minutes, 45. When I
Yeah,
do the half marathons, which won't be till May, that's going to be 2.5 hours. So it's literally 2.5 hours with something stuck to my arm the whole time. One thing I
yeah,
did
yeah.
notice real quick, Battery life is that crazy good.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, battery life
It'll be
is that good. Yes.
yeah. So suffice it to say, could you go like almost 2 days without recharging?
If
Without being on it all day or anything.
well, see, that's the thing. Because I've had it less than a week. I'm playing with it all the time. So
So you're not gonna really
I'm
know,
trying
but
photos. I'm playing this. I'm trying this with it. I'm trying different things with it. So what I've done so far is not normal usage.
right,
Sunday
yeah,
morning when I get the little pop up for the screen time, it's going to say how it's like put down the phone, man. You've used it too much
yeah,
because of how much I'm going to use it. So yeah, but I would say this that worst case, I'm getting and like on the weekend where I'm out running around, I'm not really recharging as I'm running around, taking tons of photos, doing different things, having it open. I'm barely getting under, by mid afternoon, I'm barely at 50% battery life.
wow, that's
Where,
pretty good.
yeah, where before, I mean, I literally, because the 10 was so old, I had a battery case that I had to
Yeah,
use. And I had to, after a while, just use the battery case and just kind of nurse it. And maybe I'll make it go. Oh, I don't know if I can make it. It's like I'm not nursing it
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Well, that's all right.
So
Now, since Ruth was such a sweetheart and she let you play with her phone,
mhm.
are you letting Ruth play with your phone? Is she trying it
If
out, or
she,
is she
if
interested in
yeah,
doing anything?
well, yeah, just in terms of letting her feel it. She's not overly interested in it. She's happy with hers.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, one thing she noticed, and I noticed too, is like because like I said, you figure, oh, it's visually it's bigger, but it's not like it's not like you're going from itty bitty little phone to massive phone. They're pretty big phone. She's like, wow, it's so heavy. And
yeah,
we weighed it, and it was like, yeah, it's significantly heavier. It's
yeah,
heavier than I guess because of the stainless and the bigger battery. Um, it's heavier than it looks. If you're used
yeah.
to a 13, you're used to a 10, you're used to 11, you're used to a 12 non-pro, and you're going to a pro and a large pro, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I was not expecting it to be this heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
something
it's
definitely get
definitely
used to.
yeah, and you'll get used to it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
for me it was I went from my first big phone was the 8 Plus, and going from the 6S to the 8 Plus, it was significantly bigger. And but you know what, it was big enough that, in all honesty, I had an iPad at the time, and that's when I stopped using the iPad. Is when the 8 Plus got into my hands, and
Yeah.
it just seemed to be that much more real estate. It was enough to, you know, I haven't had an iPad since.
Okay.
So
Well, before we go real quick, this is what I was looking
yep.
for when I got up. This was my very first touchscreen iOS device, an iPod
Wow.
Touch.
Okay. Yeah.
32 gig. You can tell it's old because this is first gen. Notice there's no camera.
Right. Yeah. I had one of them too.
This is before they put the camera in it.
Yeah. Now, did you know? I think I'm correct on this, but I
I
could be
mean,
wrong. But did you
literally.
know? Turn the iPod sideways and
Yeah.
look at the screen. The length, the
Mhm.
longest part of the iPod screen is the same as the width of your new
It's
phone.
pretty close. Yeah. It's
Pretty
pretty
close,
close.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is just
Is that
crazy.
not crazy or what?
Yeah. To think that viewing web pages on that versus viewing web pages on this.
Oh, it's like going from uh, a MacBook to a 27-inch iMac.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So okay, well, let's call it a night then. And
Sounds good.
you've been posting some stuff now
Oh, yeah.
to Instagram and Twitter. So let everybody
Mm-hmm.
know where they can find those.
Sure. Both of them you can find under Prof Pod. Also, if you happen to be, I'm posting also on Reddit for the iPhone. I think it's iPhoneography subreddit, which is not related to us. It was just similar names. But yeah, I'm also there as Prof Pod.
All right, cool. You can find me on Instagram at Macmillan Photo and Twitter Macmillan_photo. And we try to get the show out every 2 weeks. So far, we've been pretty successful, unless life gets in the way. But you can find the podcast on iPhoneography.ca, and you can find the Artful iPhoneography community on MeWe at artfulipc.club. And don't forget to check out the David Addison Show. Is the newer show on our network here. And I don't think he's put anything out in the last week or two, but you never know what he's working on. But yeah, check it out. And I want to thank everybody for listening and subscribing to the YouTube channel. It's continues to grow, and we like to see that. And I guess that's about it. I guess we'll see you on the next one.
Have a great week, everyone.